Hi and welcome. I'm Dr. Sean from the WorkWise Institute, and today we are doing a shortened version of Tuckman's model. There is a longer video we have on this. Check in the description, we'll put a link to it there. And we also have a link to a cheat sheet that gives you a synopsis of all the things we'll be discussing in today's video. Okay, so what's Tuckman's model all about? The first thing you need to know is it was developed by a chap called Bruce Tuckman, and hence the name Tuckman's model. Bruce Tuckman worked for the US Navy in the 1960s, and as part of that work reviewed a whole bunch of studies on team development. Now, let's actually be specific here. It wasn't actually team development, it was clinical groups, and that's the first challenge people raised with the model, in that it was never actually about team development in the first place. This is true, but we also know that subsequent to that initial research, a lot of papers have supported the notion of team stages and have validated the model. Right, that takes us to the next important point, and that is that it's a model of team development, and in this model teams go through specific stages, namely the forming, storming, norming, and performing, and then the adjourning stages. His original model only discussed the first 4 of these, and then in a later paper with a colleague he added the 5th. In the initial research, Tuckman also highlighted 2 important aspects of team development, and that is the people side of things, namely the relationships team members have and how they change over time, and then the second being the task side of things and the way people achieve those tasks, which also changes over time. Now, this is crucial, so please do take note. All performance is the outcome of people and their capabilities and relationships, and the task and the complexity of what is required, and what we need to do as team leaders is match those 2 things together. So what this means and how the model is actually used is to try and identify what stage you're in the model, and then to move through to the stage you want to be in reality, which is usually the performing stage. So if, for example, your team is just starting, you will fall into the forming stage, and therefore there are certain things you need to be on the lookout for. People may be confused about the purpose, people may be anxious or uncertain, possibly even hostile. Think about the first time you joined a team and how you felt and how you behaved. And that's what we probably need to be on the lookout for. So in the forming stage, there's often a kind of superficial camaraderie that we see. People try to get along and play nice because we don't quite know what's going to happen going forward. Now, depending on your personality, you may also withdraw, as you may not want to play an active role, particularly if you're introverted or just don't really like being on teams in the first place. Alright, then as the team progresses, we might see increased conflict as we get into the storming stage. This is where people start getting frustrated because, for example, we find out Bob is a free rider and doesn't work very well, and Julie won't stop talking about herself and oversharing, so we start getting into each other's faces. Now, whether or not this is a more general transition into the storming stage or specific disputes doesn't really matter. Expect conflict, deal with it effectively, and if you don't, your team performance will probably start to stagnate. Okay, so then as we start developing processes to deal with conflict, we see a shift into the norming stage. And this is where we may lay down some ground rules, forcing Bob to present his work at the end of the week, and maybe putting Julie in the corner so she stops interrupting everybody. Neither of these I would actually recommend, but you start to see what I mean. Essentially, we start being more explicit about how we're going to work together, and we actually start to work with each other, not against each other. Finally get to the performing stage. This is the stage where the team is a well-oiled machine. It has the ability to respond to any change, it has the ability to deal with issues in ways that makes it better than before, and it usually starts to develop a unique identity as a team. Now, please note, this can take a very long time to occur, and some teams may not actually get there at all. Finally, and this is particularly important in our agile and ever-changing work environments, the team disbands. It's split up and moved around to achieve some other purpose. This stage is important, and there may be a need for things like debriefs, celebrations, and other knowledge management processes to ensure that closure or transition of the team is a smooth one. Okay, so that's the model, but there's a few other points I want to make. Firstly, it's only a model, and it has limitations, and therefore people will criticize it. Life is far more complicated. Not all teams will go through these stages in a nice linear pattern. Some will skip some, and some will cycle back and forth. Life is messy. Secondly, if you do find yourself in a particular stage, your task as the team leader will be first to diagnose what's going on and then move the team upwards and onwards. Tuckman provides limited guidance here purely because context matters, and for example, the way we deal with conflict in the storming stage depends on the root causes of the conflict, the dominant styles of the leader and the members, and the levels of things like trust, psychological safety, and other dynamics. And then the last point is there are many other models for team development. None of them are quite as catchy and easy to remember, but they are certainly valid and worth looking into. So that's Tuckman's model. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and we'll see you in the next one.